Hello, everyone. I'm Wendy Dietzler, Director of Live Events and Education for Trade Press Media Group. I want to thank you for joining today's webcast, Tech Trends in 2025, Facility Security Innovations. We have two panelists today, Patrick Cook with Eagle Eye Networks and Kyle Pfeiffer with Salto. Each of them are going to deliver a brief 10-minute presentation, after which we'll have a roundtable discussion among the three of us, and then we'll move into audience Q&A. So before we get started with the big event, I want to just cover a few housekeeping details. Well, first of all, an important one, I want to thank our sponsors of today's webcast, Eagle Eye Networks and Salto Systems. We want to thank them for making this event possible. And we also encourage those audience questions we talked about throughout the entire webcast. So if you have one, submit it by navigating to the Q&A Ask Questions module at the bottom of the screen and type in your questions at any time. If you'd like a copy of today's presentation slides, they can be downloaded from the related content module on your screen, also below. And there's also some valuable information resources from our sponsors in there as well that you can download and explore. Today's webcast is also going to be archived at facilitiesnet.com/webcasts. All right, housekeeping's done. Let's move into our first presentation from Kyle Pfeiffer. Kyle leads Salto North America's healthcare solutions business practice. He's focused on aligning innovative access control technology and hardware with the ever-evolving needs of the healthcare industry. Kyle understands the healthcare facility needs and facility needs in general from multiple facets, and he's passionate about creating more effective and efficient workflows, as well as secure workplace environments. Together with Salto, he's on a mission to bring new technology and products to the market that keep staff safe, patients secure, all while enhancing the overall experience in healthcare and facilities in general. I'm going to pass it over to Kyle.
Awesome. Thank you, Wendy. I really appreciate that. And thank you, everybody, for joining in and attending this great event. As Wendy said, my name is Kyle Pfeiffer with Salto Systems. Been with us for a little over 2 years now, but been a part of access control and as a supplier, been selling to healthcare facilities for a number of years. But today I really want to kind of talk about the future of facility management because there's many factors, honestly, that are driving change, that are driving new security, new technology, and it's really to keep up with all the diverse demands that communities, facilities are really asking for. The reason why they're asking for it is security is a priority. You can see kind of on our screen here of solutions, I put 300 plus solutions. And the reason why I did that is because we've created a lot of products over the years. We've been around for 20 plus years of products that are keeping up with those demands and the diversity of those demands. So there's a lot of new technology and a lot of new innovations that we're constantly coming up with. And I want to kind of dive in today a little bit about some of the things that we're seeing now that are really kind of the tech trends of 2025, and then also the trends of the future as well. Because there's definitely a lot of change, and keeping up with those changes is really important to keep up with new security, innovative security that just makes your things more secure for your communities, the devices that you have. There's a lot of companies, there's a lot of communities, facilities, and they all want really kind of three things when it comes to security. Number one, obviously they want a secure facility to keep staff, residents, patients, everyone safe, students, whether it's education. So security and secure is really kind of one of the things that they're always looking at for innovation. The other thing that they want is they want a seamless technology, meaning they want it to work really well. They want it to be very user-friendly, and they want it to all flow really well so you don't have to jump between application to application. And then the third thing that they're looking at is integrations. So one of our partners today, Eagle Eye, we have a great integration with our access control solution and their camera solution. So those types of integrations where you don't have to log into two different systems, because security is usually about a response, and being proactive in having those integrations just make those two things a lot more seamless and a lot easier. So those are kind of some of the things I'm going to talk about as I go through my slides. The other thing that's also just really important is just ease of use. Everyone wants to be able to find things quickly and to respond to things even quicker. And so we want to make sure that we have a very, very easy, usable technology for all of our customers that are purchasing our product. So what are the latest trends really that are kind of coming out into market? And that's really what I want to talk about. And I'm going to walk you through some of these slides that talk about it. The latest trends from my perspective is we're combining what we already have, whether it's technology, whether it's our face, and we're adding technology to that. And that's just making it easier for users, for security directors, everybody to be able to use the system. So as I mentioned, kind of and gave it away a little bit here, but one of the things I'm going to talk about is our face recognition. And the nice thing about this, again, it's using what we already have to reduce a fingerprint or a footprint out there, which means you don't need credentials anymore. You don't have to worry about lost or stolen credentials or printing credentials. You can literally just use your face, something that's already existing, and combining what we already have with new technology. So at Salto, we have Salto Orion. It basically allows you to enroll users remotely, meaning I can just send you an email. Again, I don't have to print credentials and hand you a credential and worry about everything. I can send you an email. You take a quick picture of your face, and now you have access where I want you to have access in your community or your facility or your campus, whatever that might be. So it makes it very easy. So when that new person, whether it's a resident, a student, a staff member, walks up to that facility or that location, they already have access. They don't have to worry about going to security. That we already know where they're going and what they're doing through. So it makes it very simple to enroll people from anywhere, anytime. It's very easy to install to existing infrastructures for access control, and it's very, very highly secure. One of the biggest questions I probably get asked about face recognition is, well, where does my face go and how easy is it for somebody to take and steal? Ultimately, the second we take a picture of an end user's face, that image is completely deleted, and it just basically turns it into a bunch of numbers, dots, and nobody, if they were to look at that, would be able to use that for anything outside of the access control system. So there's no way that you'd be able to use the system or you'd be able to use someone's face and their likeness for anything else because it's all deleted. So it makes it very secure, very private as well, which is great. And it's very intuitive, very easy to use, and it just makes access control that much easier because you don't have to look for fobs, you don't have to pull out your phones, that sort of thing. So that's one of the trends that's really kind of hot on the market right now. Again, people are just trying to reduce buying more things and using devices like your face that we already have. The next thing that I want to talk about is kind of using, again, something that somebody already has, which is a mobile device, and turning it into an actual intercom system. This is extremely easy. It's very, very user-friendly, but imagine a multi-family skyscraper building. You know, old school days, you'd look and see all the names kind of listed on a little button that you would press, and that would call up somebody, like kind of like Seinfeld is what I always think of, and then they push the little button and Jerry would always let them into their building. This just makes that so much easier because you don't have to be in your room. You don't even have to be in your building. As an end user, you just download a quick little app to your cell phone, and then there's a QR code right on the outside of the building. Somebody walks up, they take their cell phone, hold it up to that QR code. It shows you the entire directory. I want to call Jerry Seinfeld from the directory, and then Jerry could be in the laundry room, Jerry could be working out, Jerry could be anywhere. He sees me directly through my camera on my cell phone, as you're kind of seeing on some of these pictures here, and then I can unlock the door and let that person in. So it gives you that sense of security where I can actually see them. It's not just voice. I have interaction with them. They don't have to see me if I don't want them to see me, or I could enable my camera so that they could see me. Again, it's taking something that we already have, like a cell phone, sticking a QR phone right on the building, and it's connected directly to the access control that allows them to open a door and let somebody in, a new type of security where it's voice and video combined. Very, very, very easy. So that's one of the new technologies that we're also seeing that just makes it hassle-free, very easy to use for the end user, and very seamless. We mentioned I'm in the healthcare vertical, overseeing a lot of different things, but lockers is kind of a new thing. For me, I'm really passionate about pharmaceuticals, being able to store them, have basically an audit log of where everything is going and who's gaining access to that sort of thing, kind of a chain of custody type scenario. But this is used in spas, this is used in facilities for workouts. Amazon uses it for their employee lockers. So it's used in a lot of different use cases. Co-working spaces is great. And the great thing about this, again, kind of going back to the ease of use, is you can set up lockers for a variety of different reasons. It could be a free, where you just walk up and you can just put your stuff in it and use your credentials that you already have, whether it's a cell phone or a fob or a card, and assign that locker to yourself. You also have timed or personal or dynamic. The future that we're seeing with some of these lockers is you can actually start to make a profit by using lockers, whether it's renting it to somebody or putting product in there that somebody, like a multifamily system, this is one of my favorite examples, they have some empty lockers in there and they were able to put in laundry detergent, laundry soap, fabric softeners, so that when somebody opens it and they pull that out, it charges their account for those specific things. So now you can start to turn a profit by using these lockers as a place to store things and also pull things from for purchase as well. So there's a lot of unique, really cool things that are happening with lockers, again, for pharmaceuticals or even just for package delivery or Uber Eats or Diner Dash or all those different apps that are out there. Instead of just having them sitting on a wire rack in a lobby, somebody could walk up, put their package, put the food right in that locker, and it sends notifications to the residents of the communities. So there's a lot of different easy, secure ways to start storing things, whether it's cashless payments or distribution of something or just community package delivery as well. Kind of continuing on with some of the new trends that we're seeing that are out there, we have what we call a visitor management kiosk, which is, we call it Blue Entrance, allows somebody to come up and actually create their own credential, sign in, and go be able to walk around a community or facility without having to check in with security. Again, this allows and frees up security to do things that they need to be doing, which is monitoring security systems, securing the perimeter, instead of, I've just heard story after story of security directors. My team, all they do is just check people in all day and all night long, and they don't have time to do anything else. So this really frees up the ability to have a kiosk where somebody can self-check in. They've already been assigned, they've already been approved, they can print their own credential, and now you have a great record of somebody coming, somebody going, and being able to go directly into that automated check-in, check-out of your community, your facility. And it just provides real-time ability to see where they're going with their own credentials. We just actually had a partner summit in Arizona last week. We unveiled this there. Everybody had to check in using this. It was seamless, it was great. We were able to track their movements just to show them how this worked, and it worked beautifully as well. And then also digital keys. It's not the newest technology, but it's really where we're going. Students in universities, they don't want fobs, they don't want kiosks. Their cell phone is everything. And from my perspective, whether it's higher education or senior living communities or co-working spaces, what this technology really brings is it brings another level of security. It's doing that because, number one, I'm not going to give anyone my cell phone ever in a million years. Don't even give it to my kids. It's what I need to kind of operate and how do I function. But also with that, I also have Face ID. I have my own security versus an existing credential. If I give it to somebody, there's no existing security on those devices. So it adds another level of really great security that you can use as well for your systems, whether it's being able to check in, or I showed you the intercom system, or being able to just walk around and assign yourself lockers. Everything is becoming digital. Everything is becoming mobile. These also are great when we're talking about integrations with like POS systems. So you can have your point of sale and you can have your cell phone all tied into your access control or your whatever systems you want. So it just makes it a more seamless system, but adding that additional level of security as well. So we're seeing more and more of this all across the board, where they're opting away from ID badges or fobs or wristbands. They want to use the digital credential, and it's very easy to use. And when you terminate somebody, it's very easy to kick them out of the system as well. So overall, we're seeing a lot of change, and kind of what I wanted to end on here is we're seeing a lot of from a now feature kind of product or now feature part of trends. We're using it in an existing architecture like you see on my screen here, and we're adding more things to it, whether it's mobile credentials, whether it's face recognition or locker systems. It's just, it becomes an entire ecosystem for your access control system. I know we're going to talk a little bit about some of the future things that we're seeing that aren't necessarily now. I know Patrick will talk some of these things, but also AI-powered automated protection surveillance. That is a huge part of access control, combining those two systems together. So AI is really a hot topic, kind of a buzzword right now that's out there, but it really is helping with access control surveillance because it's automating everything. It's identifying so many different things that could be threats to your community. Another thing that we're seeing out there is drones or body cameras. Those are a huge part of security that will also tie into to access control as well as we're kind of developing new technologies. All of this is really just for operational efficiency when it comes to your facilities, your communities, and the architecture of your access control.
That's really helpful information. Thank you for all of that, Kyle. And like you said, there's a lot to cover and lots of innovation at a rapid pace. I mean, Seinfeld won't know what hit him, but we're going to move on to our second presentation with Patrick Cook. And Patrick Cook is a seasoned industry leader. He's got over 20 years of experience driving security technology sales. And throughout his career, he has successfully navigated major industry transitions, including the shift from analog to IP, the rise of high-resolution cameras, and the ongoing evolution from on-premise hardware to AI-powered cloud-based systems. So I think it's a perfect baton handoff. And Patrick, the stage is yours.
Wendy, I really appreciate it, and Kyle, great job and great lead in here to where we're trying to go with this conversation today, and where we're seeing the trends really across access control and video. I work with Eagle Eye Networks, and just to give you guys and the audience here a little bit of background, we're an AI cloud-based video surveillance company, and founded by Dean Draco back in 2012. You may know his name associated with Barracuda Networks. We have 4 offices located around the world, headquartered out of Austin, Texas. I'm native Texan, so you may pick up a little bit of an accent there. 600 people worldwide. I'm actually employee 81, hired back in 2019. So if that tells you a little bit about the explosive growth that we've had over the last 5 years, it's pretty telling about cloud adoption possibly, and just Eagle Eye in general here over that short amount of time. One of the big things about Dean and how he likes to operate his company is that we want to be accessible pretty much to everyone and all time. So the 24/7 is pretty much how we operate. And so, yeah, we work weekends and all times of the day. So that's for both end users and all of our partners. And so the door is always open. 100% channel all the time, 12 data centers globally and growing all the time. It gives us a lot of flexibility, honestly, to move where our clients are growing. And as you start to see a shift in ownership of data, you start to see that you're going to have to retain data in country. So this gives us a lot of flexibility in how we protect and own that data for our end users. And so this provides us a lot of flexibility in that. And then 100% focused on AI video surveillance. And this is really a big coupled combination, if you will, of AI and cloud together that you're going to continue to see across multiple industries really going forward here. And really, you know, AI is really the key, and obviously AI being artificial intelligence, and you're going to see this. You're going to see this in just about everywhere you turn, and for us, it's no different. It's how we extend the capabilities of just about everything that we're doing these days, and it's really allowing us to take advantage of the technology that we're doing when it comes to applying video to more than just security, but when we're talking about operational efficiency, when we're talking about labor management, when we're talking about getting the most out of our business and the most out of our environment. And that's really where we're trying to grow and take advantage of the technology as we're moving forward here. Just looking at the list that we've put together here for you, Kyle's actually touched on some of this here, and thank you for that. But starting at the top here, making simple cameras smart. And really this speaks to the flexibility of our architecture. We're able to go in and take advantage of the dollars that you've already spent. We can take over a lot of your existing infrastructure and take what we would essentially call dumb cameras and add intelligence to it, because we can add analytics, we can add AI to that technology and give you power at the edge. We can give it to you on site, and we can take advantage of what we do at the cloud itself. Moving on, we can save you time and money by talk about enhanced reporting. So we can talk about things from a case management standpoint. If you're talking about risk mitigation, you can talk about uptime of your system, so that you talk about reducing operational expensing. Smart video search. So this is where you're trying to look for a specific person. You're looking for man wearing a jacket. You're looking for person in gray shirt across either a single site or maybe multiple sites across the world. And we can provide that kind of information for you within seconds across thousands of cameras. Smart layouts and floor plans. This is where we give you physical verification, and we can instantly pop information for guard services and monitoring, third-party monitoring companies that are working with you. Of course, Kyle touched on the face match, and this is where you can see different variations of things such as who is Patrick Cook, myself, across various locations within your facilities, or you can be very generic and just look for male versus female, or you can look at people or other objects across certain locations. And then we can get into certain things like camera IO. And this is where you can start to do combinations of technologies where maybe you want to add a sounder, or maybe you want to add a white light to the back end of a camera, so that you're now adding a visual alert and flashing a light or sounding an alarm because a certain type of event has triggered a high risk alarm. We'll get into some other slides here shortly, but the advanced analytics when we get into LPR, which is license plate recognition. And for us, we attach a VSP, which is vehicle surveillance package, and that's our reporting mechanism for that, so that not only are we pulling a license plate, but we're also providing you what type of vehicle it is, what color it is, and then we can run a hot list for you, so that we can tell you if it's an employee, if it's a former employee, if it is a stolen vehicle, and things of that nature. So you can take your analytics a step further. AI filtering we'll get into, and then of course some edge-based analytic partnerships that we have as well. Kyle touched on the intercoms and being able to use audio as a way to kind of take yourself and immerse into the environment. And this is really a big step forward for a lot of systems when we talk about trends in facilities. And this extends across healthcare, education environments, many types of commercial environments, energy, especially as we start to talk about third-party monitoring and operational expenses, because we never have enough internal employees to basically effectively address all the roles and responsibilities that we have, and we can never pay enough third-party people to really effectively address all of the alarms and alerts that we are actively pursuing as well. And so with Eagle Eye, what we have been able to come up with is our two-way audio, and we can take advantage of the microphones and the speakers that are available through the cameras that we can operate, as well as the IP-based speakers that are available across the networks that are out there. And so you can basically accomplish intercom systems, you can accomplish pre-recorded solutions, so that you can effectively set up warning zones. You can sit there and monitor employees walking across far-reaching parking lots, so that after hours employees are effectively getting safely to their cars. Just a lot of different ways so that you can protect staffing or maybe visitors entering facilities. Think intercom systems when visitors are accessing educational facilities during the day, and two-way audio when your staffing is at a remote location and you need to provide access, and two-way audio can come in and play a big part of that. Anybody that had a bio like myself, Kaio seemed to have a similar one as well. Anybody who has a bio like that understands that we've been talking about AI and analytics for a long time. The one problem with any of that is that false alarms come with that. And the big part of that is about 98% of that is false alarming. And the problem with that is the budgeting and the expense that comes along with that. And so one of the initial benefits to AI is the filtering that we can provide and reduce the cost of the alarming that's associated with that. And so AI filtering is a big benefit to any third-party monitoring, any internal monitoring that you may have, so that you can effectively turn your staff into a more effective piece to your risk mitigation, or into a more effective staff, into a production line, whatever your application is. The AI filtering will provide a more effective solution to your environment. And this is a big piece that if anybody has looked into AI, the filtering is a very big piece of it. Eagle Eye has really championed this. Our MX integration is actually a very effective tool for the AI filtering. We mentioned education as a vertical earlier, and unfortunately part of the education discussion is active shooter scenarios. One of the areas that Eagle Eye has tried to take on is responsibility of identifying what leads to active shooter scenarios, and that is gun detection. Now, this is not, shooter detection. This is when a gun has been deployed, and so we want to make that distinction. But if a gun is laying on a table or laying against the wall or holstered, you will not see this activate. But when a gun is, as you can see in the image below, or to the right there, it will actually activate and will send off the alarms, and you can do a escalation there. But this is something near and dear to our hearts at Eagle Eye, and we want to continue to champion this, and we can continue to build our AI engine around this, and continue to perfect it. So this is one that I'll leave it at this with the gun detection, but I would continue that if this is anything that you have questions about or want to continue to pursue as a conversation, let's continue to bring this up offline, and I would press you to reach out to your Eagle Eye representatives and continue to discuss this, and definitely seek out Eagle Eye at future trade shows and stuff to continue to discuss. A big thing that we're very proud of is our Eagle Eye 911 camera sharing, and this one is applicable to every facility scenario. So one of the things that you can do when you go into an Eagle Eye system is check a simple box, and that is you can make every camera available to 911 call centers. And so that if anybody happens to use a 911 call from their mobile device, it will go into that call center, and we are natively integrated into those call centers, and it will triangulate basically to the closest 10 cameras that are actively checked into that ECC, and it'll populate into that ECC, and it will give live video feeds so that you can basically create a perimeter around where that call generated from. And if multiple calls come in, multiple cameras will obviously populate in there, and this will provide live viewing to the ECC, and so they can provide that information to the local police dispatch and give first responders active information so that they know what they're actually going into. We are the only company that has this in the marketplace. Very proud of this. You can actually go into drop our bridges into disparate systems that are out there. They do not have to be fully deployed Eagle Eye systems. So we just need to be able to pull individual camera streams from the existing cameras, and we can actively work on top of competitive systems and still provide the Eagle Eye 911 camera sharing in those environments as well. So this does not conflict with those disparate systems. The edge analytics and on-camera AI, I spoke about this a little bit earlier, but we were working with name brands out there such as Bosch, Hanwha, and Axis. Why not take advantage of the dollars that you've already spent in these well-known cameras that are actually out there? Bosch, Hanwha, and Axis have put a lot of money into their R&D, and so what we were trying to do is take advantage of that of those analytics and bring that in as our metadata, and we're building an alerting structure and alarming structure around that, and adding that into our environment. And so this extends your overall functionality of your systems and gives you more bang for your buck with your existing infrastructure. And lastly, I just wanted to bring up one of our sister companies, Eagle Eye Swift Sensors. This is another Dean Draco company, and this is just an extension of really kind of our ecosystem, and it allows you to go in and do environmental censoring. This actually natively populates into our UI so that you can actually do things like vape detection for educational environments. You can do, I think, moisture detection for, multifamily. You can do it for commercial. You can do it for retail when you have, food containment. It does 27 different types of censoring, and you can go into energy refining locations, and we're doing quite a bit of these types of reporting structures out there. So very excited to talk about this integration and bring this into our family of offerings out there, because I think it gives a turnkey solution out there when you talk about great partners like Salto, Eagle Eye, and Swift Sensors coming into the marketplace, along with an AI filtering out there to bring operational efficiency into the marketplace. And with that, Wendy, I think we've given our audience quite a few things to think about and generate some questions.
Yeah, I completely agree. Thank you very, very much, both of you, Kyle and Patrick, for those excellent presentations. Like we said, just a nice merging of all of these features, benefits, technology. It's moving quickly. And I thank our attendees who have started entering questions into the Q&A panel. Keep that coming. Got a couple here that I'd like to ask our panelists today. Kyle, I'd like to start with you, talking a little bit about applications for face recognition. What industries are you seeing having the interest right now? Why is that? And I'm going to blend that with another question that did come in from an audience member about changing hairstyles or shaving or not shaving. Is that an impact in the sensitivity or the efficacy of facial recognition?
Yeah, those are great questions. Thanks for bringing them up. I would say number one, kind of to answer your first question there, industry-wise, it really is all across the board. It does get a little specific. So like for me personally, senior living, they're not looking to adopt it maybe everywhere, but it is starting to become a priority for like memory care type services within those communities, right? Because credentials are a lot harder, but this doesn't need a credential, so you don't have to present anything. So that makes it easier in that regard. Multifamily, obviously huge. Technology is really big in driving that area. Universities, again, as well. Those are areas that we're starting to see it. But to kind of answer the second part of that question, the technology is incredible, actually. So I love to use this example. Even if you have a twin, it can identify our face recognition between a twin or something like that, which is pretty incredible. If you have facial hair, change your hair, and then you shave, it's still going to be able to pick up those data points. Even sunglasses, if you walk in one day with sunglasses or not, or a cap or a hoodie, it's able to detect the difference in who you are and who somebody else is. So the technology is pretty incredible behind it as well. So it can pick up those different changes that you've made to your own face as well. So yeah.
Okay, that's very, very specific, and it makes me wonder. I'm going to shift over to you, Patrick, because we want to talk a little bit about AI in that realm. Kind of, where are you seeing it leveraged now? Where do you see it being leveraged in the future to monitor areas in a building? Are you seeing some pockets kind of emerging for that technology right now?
Well, AI, absolutely. So, we're seeing it across the board. AI started, well, let me back up. When we first started in this industry, we actually had analytics and I could even go back and just looking at pure motion really as an analytic, but we went into analytics as kind of a static analytic, and you really had to know what you were actually searching for. And then it took a lot of fine tuning and a lot of operational control. And really that became a love of labor, honestly, to fine tune it. And as soon as you had it dialed in, your environment changed. And so that really became a frustration there. And the beauty of AI is that it's adaptable. It's a temporal algorithm, if you will, because it's intuitive and it learns your environment. And so where this is ultimately going is AI is ultimately, I'm going to point it at the view, I'm going to point it at an environment, and I'm going to sit here and ask the question, tell me what I don't know about this environment, and then I'm going to act upon that data. And if it's a risk, great. If it's a model for efficiency, great. And by that I mean, I'll give you an example of a project that we did. We looked at a warehouse, and the idea was that we were only unloading 40 trucks a day in this warehouse, and the goal was to actually improve upon that. And it wasn't so much that getting the trucks in and out was the issue. The issue that we found was that our forklifts going in and out of the stacks was the most inefficient variable in this equation. And so that's what the AI actually found. And so by improving the actual pathway of the forklifts, then we could actually improve the in and out of the actual trucks at the warehouse. And we improved that by 15 trucks per day. Wow. And it added to the revenue and the profitability of that particular warehouse at that point.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's something I hadn't expected to hear as a kind of an outcome in addition to the security piece of the puzzle. That's fascinating. Kyle, I'm going to jump over to you. On the visitor management side of this, are you seeing use cases outside of visitors to a corporate office building, other kind of, I guess, external kind of outcomes that we just talked about here over on the AI side?
Yeah, I mean, we're really seeing across all of our industries to have that visitor management system. Again, senior living, it's really popular, multifamily, even education. It just adds that another level of security where you don't, especially like if you think of like a college campus, there's multiple dorm rooms. Right. To have somebody have to check in and somebody at every dorm room, that's a lot of people power ultimately at the end of the day to have to facilitate that. So being able to just put a kiosk right there, people can self-check in, and it's easy to communicate with the resident. I want to come visit you, and they can just put it into the system very easily so that it makes that kind of traffic and solution just great for them. So yeah, we're seeing it everywhere right now, which is great. It's, hospitals, obviously, a lot of people come to visit patients that are in the hospital, and security is overwhelmed with having to manage all those visitors, just like a university would. And it just frees up the space of the security people, like I mentioned, to be able to do the jobs that they need to do, not just be, a bellhop checking people in and checking people out ultimately at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, it's very interesting to me. Obviously, you guys live and breathe this, but from me coming into it, you're really hearing about this efficiency byproduct that is really an amazing resource in addition to the enhanced level of security. Then you have even more resources within your facilities teams to redeploy or refocus on other areas of the FM function. So with that in mind, Patrick, tech innovations on the video side, we talked about efficiency. What innovations are there that are helping those systems run smoothly, keep that 24/7 operational status going, and again, further contributing to an efficient overall facility operation?
Yeah, well, it's the very nature of our setup that I think allows for that. And so, really our biggest defining variable is we got to have some power. And thank goodness we actually we do have a nice new product where we do have a solar component to it. So I won't derail this particular question, but I will get a plug in for our solar cabinet. Send you to the web and the website and all for that. But as long as we have the power there, the great thing about our architecture is that our bridge allows us to sit here and monitor the bandwidth on the network so that we can basically buffer the amount of data and encrypt it at the bridge level. We can then measure the amount of available bandwidth up to the cloud, and then we can sit there and send that data to the cloud when we have the most optimal time. So we can schedule it appropriately, most likely at the end of the day, at night. And then once it's in the cloud, we triple redundant protect it. And then the great thing about the cloud is we have unlimited resources there, and that's where we apply most of the AI. And we do a lot of peer-to-peer, whether it be partners like Salto or it be other third-party analytics, so that we can be more efficient with that data. One of the other things that we haven't talked about is if anybody, a third party, needs to access that data. We can effectively send out links at that point and provide that data without actually having to send a very heavy-handed file and an attached player or anything of that nature. We just send out a link. You can define it with an expiration date or anything like that. And so that provides efficiency as well. And so, again, not bogging down the local LAN of the individual business entity. It's all in the cloud, taking advantage of those resources that are remote.
Okay. Thank you for that, Patrick. Kyle, let's pivot a little more workforce and maybe workforce specific here in terms of the, I guess, the more customer facing aspects. And I'd like to talk about smart lockers. My husband actually works for a large bank, and they are moving to a hoteling kind of environment for their work. So they're looking into lockers so that he's not dragging, my picture in a frame back and forth every day, in addition to other things, I'm sure. So let's talk about that. What does the future hold for those smart lockers in this kind of application?
Yeah, so I mean, that's a great use case of Salto lockers at the end of the day, because again, you can use that, as I mentioned, kind of our different features within lockers, one of them being free mode. So if you're in a co-working space, a bank, or an employee locker at a hospital, whatever that is, you can just walk up and you don't even need to use a credential. So let's say everyone's using mobile devices. You could even pull out like your debit card or credit card and use that as your credential. It's just basically writing anything with technology to you and assigning it to yourself that way. So it creates a great environment for you to just pull stuff in, pull stuff out, move around. College campuses, the same scenario where you have a class and you want to drop off your books. You don't want to have an assigned locker. You just want to be able to store yourself somewhere secure and then pull it out whenever you need to get your stuff out of that locker. And so we have solutions like that that are easy to manage. And then security will always have a master key. So if they need to go, like they've noticed this locker has been closed for months and months, they can come up to it, pull the stuff out and go put it in a lost and found or notify it that way. But It's super easy to secure, and you don't even need a credential to secure a locker to yourself, which is great. It makes it very easy for visitors as well as employees, like you mentioned. So for banks,
Yeah.
it's a great scenario.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit earlier. I know you had mentioned, Patrick, a specific component of the technology with regard to active shooter. That's in a space in which speed and response and all of that is key. Let's talk about the video clips, and if, let's say, something like that or anything were to be captured, what kind of speed are you looking at when you're talking about sharing those images and those clips externally during an emergency? And where are you seeing the market respond to that and really have a response to this issue?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a obviously a very sensitive topic, and one that's I think near and dear to just about everybody, and top in mind as a nation, if not the a good portion of the world here. So for Eagle Eye, we actually have a couple of different options. We actually have a first responder component to our system, where you can proactively provide a login for pre-designated users, if you will, so that they can have a standing login to actively gain access to the system upon arrival. So think about a large K through 12, just as an example, K through 12 client that maybe has an on-site or active police force that works for them. In Texas, we actually have some big, school districts that do have that, big, fairly large police forces. I know some other states do as well. And then you have some communities that are, close knit that have local police forces that are just tied in that way as well. So maybe that relationship exists on that type of level too. EMS and fire as well. So it doesn't just have to be police that we're thinking about in those situations. We also have the 911 camera sharing that we're talking about here, that was really not just an active shooter scenario thought process. It was really the idea of, we've got all these cameras everywhere. We are typically deployed on a front door and a back door. Why can't we open these video feeds up to everybody when and where it's necessary? Yeah. Obviously, given the business owner and the system owner approval. Yeah. But if we can help save one life, why couldn't we at least make that available? And if it's just a few lines of code, how can we do it, right? And so that was the thought process, and we found out it was much easier to do than not. And so that's where that impetus kind of started. And we got with the third party Rapid SOS, which was already in the ECCs, and that was the connectivity that got us going there. So working with them, now we're proactively going around to all these ECCs and getting them fully trained on what to do. And it's been quite a success. We've got plenty of videos, and we've been on the local news and national news for this, and a lot of publicity around this, and it's been very effective. You saw one particular situation, and then it's a positive domino effect from there. Right. And, very, very influential there. The other piece to this is really the concern with legacy video and just long block storage and large file packets, and when and where you clip and define the video segment that's going to be most impactful for the viewer in that situation. And that's where we were like, how can we open this up and really provide the most easy and efficient way, and really cloud defined it for us. And all we had to do was provide the links and set the expiration date, and it became a no-brainer at that point. So,
Yeah.
I was going to say also, just kind of tailing off with that, with incorporating the video to the access control, that allows you to have, one button press lockdown modes as well, so that you can create a very secure all facility lockdown. Very easy to do. Once you've detected that with the surveillance, just hit the button, everything's locked down all at once, which is really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's got to be that peace of mind piece, and the technology really coming up to support the overall goal of that security, overall security. I'm going to jump back quickly to the intercom side of things. I think we saw a few questions coming into the queue about, entryways, QR codes, how are guests coming in and out. And Kyle, you talked about one of my favorite guys, Seinfeld, and the intercom technology that was in place back then. And we could go farther back if you want. We could go to Rhoda. I don't know if we want to go that far, but it clearly has staying power. Why is it still important? What makes, I think you talked about the XS4 comm piece of it.
Yes.
What's unique there? What's the twist?
Well, I mean, the newest thing that I love about this feature too is if you want to take yourself out of the directory through the app, like you're going on vacation, right? You don't want people to call you when you're on vacation and trying to get into the building. Maybe they accidentally press, your name instead of somebody else's name. You could just say, I'm going to take myself out for the week that I'm on vacation, and nobody can call me using the intercom system. So one, going back to ease of use, it just is more convenient for the resident to be able to manage who's coming to visit them and who's not. If you don't have a kiosk and you don't have somebody to check people in at a building, it allows you to have direct communication with the person trying to get into the building. And my second favorite feature, and I mentioned this earlier, but I'll bring it up again, is it allows you to see them before they can see you. So I can see who's trying to get into my building to visit me. I don't have to enable my camera, but the second I want to have a conversation with them, I can either talk to them or enable my camera on my cell phone. But really, it's just a level of convenience. Like I mentioned, you can be anywhere. You can be in the building. You can be in the laundry room. You can be outside of the building, and somebody's coming to visit me. Maybe I have to go run to the store really quick, and they got there early. They can call me, and I can let them into the building just by using my phone, making it super easy. So it's about convenience, and it just takes, again, that technology that we already have versus like the Seinfeld, back in those days, that technology, if I push the button and they're not there, I'm going to be standing outside on the curb waiting for somebody to let me in. And that's the hard thing, right? And then I just like the additional level of security. By using their camera on their cell phone, I can see who's around them. I can see if somebody's with them, or if somebody's trying to tailgate in after them. You have that full visibility, where before you're just buzzing somebody in and you have no visibility whatsoever. So it's using that technology just to make it really convenient and more secure at the same time.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
We're going to look at the clock. We're getting towards the end of our time together. So, Patrick, I'm going to ask you to do two things at once. I'd like you to answer this question, but I think it might be a way for us also to get kind of your closing thoughts or your fine point on what we're talking about today. We just talked about, the intercom technology, the applications changing in response to the technology. I think we talked about it. It can be very much said the same for security, perimeter, video, the older school style of security and how technology is ushering in a new approach. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And then maybe a key takeaway that we can all bring with us as we wrap up today's presentation.
Yeah, I think my bio said it appropriately. I was here when we were changing from analog to IP, and they were showing me a camera as small as my mouse here that was putting out a better image than a big old Pelco 4-pound, 640 by 480 image quality camera. We're moving into a world where video is everywhere. I think the last statistic I saw is that we're on video 75. I think we're captured on video 75 times a day, whether we know it or not. And so It's everywhere. And in honesty, when's the last time that you've had a conversation with someone where they didn't say, show me a picture or show me a video of something that you did, or paint me a picture of something that you're trying to tell me about? And so, we're evolving with this, and the addition of AI, the integrations and the expanse of our ecosystem that Kyle was talking about, that I've talking about here, is really helping us take a true holistic approach to the environments and the trends that we're talking about today. And that's no different with the video piece, the perspective that I'm trying to bring to you today. Video, when most people think about it, is that original perimeter protection. It's that who jumped my fence, who broke in through my door, and really, I haven't had that type of conversation probably in 10 years. Where I'm having the conversation of today is operational efficiency, like I talk about. It truly is labor management. It is production quality on my manufacturing line. It is warehouse efficiency and inventory management within a large stack environment. And so I think that if you're not thinking about that in terms of how I'm using my video and getting, being able to pull maybe budgets from multiple departments, not just, traditional security and traditional IT, but maybe marketing departments and some other departments that sit outside the traditional cost centers. I think it is something that you need to think about out there. And hopefully some of the things that Kyle and I have touched on will spark some of that idea creation and take you beyond today's discussion.
Yeah, definitely some food for thought there. I like some of those prompts to kind of go beyond and find some ways to be creative about those requests. Kyle, I'd love to hear your closing thoughts on this. I think, the demands, what's driving the change, where we're going in the future. Love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think really the sky's kind of the limit where we're going, because security is always important. It's always a priority to every community because they value the people that work there, and they value the people that are coming to visit those people. And so, again, kind of what I said earlier is what's driving those demands is just the uniqueness, the diverse solutions that are required for each. Like you mentioned, your husband's bank, they need a locker solution. They're coming up with what they need, and we're driving and being innovative with our solutions to help meet those needs. So I think the sky's the limit. It could be anywhere from, to robots walking around and doing things for us, like the Jetsons or whatever it is that you want to refer to. But there's a lot of different solutions out there, and we're seeing a lot of change. But I'm excited to see where it goes, to be honest with you. There's a lot of room for growth, but every day I feel like we're talking about a new product that somebody needs, and we're trying to figure out how to meet those needs as well.
I think that's a great place to leave it. I will look forward to hopefully connecting with both of you in the future. But for now, Patrick and Kyle, thank you for a great presentation, great conversation. I want to thank our audience for their questions. And a final thank you to the sponsors of our webcast today, Eagle Eye Networks and Salto Systems. Without that support, these conversations can't happen. So again, big appreciation for that. And remember, everybody, that resources section below is where you can get some downloads, where you can learn a little bit more about our sponsors. And also facilitiesnet.com/webcast is where you will see another archive of today's presentation. With that, I'll say a final thank you and conclude today's webcast.